All right, my friends, welcome to the WriteNow Writers Group, meeting 24. Originally planned to be meeting 22, but we've had some extra writers group meetings this week, thanks to both our beloved Penelope and Chat Soul. You two were awesome for setting up and doing some pseudo writers group meetings earlier this week. So very, very cool. Welcome all to the WriteNow Writers Group. This is our weekly writers group where we all just get online and we all just chat with writers. So whether or not you've been in a writers group before, maybe you've been to one in your area, or maybe you just like to hang out with writers, this is the place to be. We meet at the same exact time every single Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 4, 5, 6, 7 p.m. Eastern. What do? We chat about whatever writing shenanigans are on our mind, and maybe, just maybe, we can try to get a little bit of writing done today. So we'll hop into some writing sprints in just a little bit. But first, let's make this fun. So for any of our new members or maybe you're just hopping into this stream or you're not familiar with any of us, we'll do a quick intro. Let's see, how am I feeling? So I am Kaufman. Y'all know me. I'm a fantasy writer, dragon enthusiast, and I am inspired by, let me think, sick characters apparently, because I've been sick. So I'm like, all right, now I have to make a character that's sick and put them through hell. And that's what I'm inspired by this week. So
put a dragon on it.
Yeah, exactly. Put a dragon on it. So I pose this question to you, my friends. What writing thing are you inspired by this week? You can do your quick little intro. I will popcorn it to, Penelope. I was like, yep, that's the direction I pointed.
That's funny. I'm Penelope Hartley, and I write stuff down. I'm inspired by everything I see. I have a squirrel brain, and I get distracted easily. Sometimes I procrastinate a lot. Whoa, I just switched places. This is like the Brady Bunch. We need a theme song, you guys. I'm currently working on my first full-fledged novel, The Love Spell Murders, which is a murder mystery epic romance, campy, spiritual extravaganza. I'm done talking. Oh, I'm inspired by everything I see. Yeah, I covered that with Squirrel Brain. I'm good.
All right. You can popcorn it to whoever.
I get a point? Oh. Emma.
Oh.
You're next.
All right, Emma.
Me?
On to you.
Me?
Yep.
My name's Michael Claxon. I write fantasy. I usually write LGBTQ plus fantasy, and what inspires me is usually anything that deals with the spiritual, paranormal. I try to add bits and pieces of, old stories that I've heard from, my relatives. Where I live is called Ghost Hollow, so I just added that to my latest novella. So
that sounds like some great inspiration.
Yeah. So I guess Eastern Kentucky is what inspires me. So I will pass it on to Chat Soul.
1 second. All right. Hi, baby. Sorry, the cat in here trapped in my studio with me. So I'm Chat Soul. Today I'm working on To Haven's Edge again, and this week I've kind of just been inspired by, I guess, I've been playing a lot of Avatar this week. I've been procrastinating and just playing games. But Penelope actually kind of got me wanting to work on To Haven's Edge, because she made the comment the other day that she wants to see more romantasy, which is what To Haven's Edge is. So really gonna try to actually channel that tonight.
I would love to see what you do with romantasy, because we could use a little soul-inspired romantasy in the world, I think.
Yeah, and the fact that this is going against like almost every character is going against every trope in this genre is just a bonus.
See, I knew I'd like it.
I think yesterday somebody called it like a subversion of a trope or something like that.
Yeah, they did. I thought that was a cool way of saying that. Turning it on its noggin. Okay.
Yay. And then let's see. What are you inspired by this week, Soul? Oh no, maybe we lost Soul. Soul's gone. I was like, nope, Soul's not inspired. I'm like, Soul, what are you inspired by? And you walk away.
I'm so sorry. My cat,
like,
the cat was scratching at the door.
Soul is inspired by Crow.
Yeah, okay, that was actually not Crow. That was a different cat. No, in general, my inspiration is just mainly music.
Okay, that's a good
music
thing.
and video games, really.
Oh yeah, we had that chat. We had all of those chats yesterday.
I missed out. I missed out on all the fun stuff.
You did.
All right, so and I think that leaves it to you, Bobby.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Bobby, or Speedy, whatever you want to call me. What am I inspired by? Well, actually, honestly, I'm inspired by memoirs, because I'm writing my memoir, or trying to write my memoir, which I have found an error in and had to take down, and I'm going to put back up probably January 1st. Coffin's like, good Lord. But no, I just like hearing other people's stories, and I don't want to say, I don't want to say I like to compare stories, but I like hearing other people's stories and seeing how similar they are to my story, which when I release my memoir again, hopefully by the beginning of the year, you guys will be able to read it and get what I'm talking about.
Oh, that is not.
So you're going to publish at the beginning of the year, you said?
I'm trying to decide if I want to publish it at the beginning of the year and start the year off with a bang, or wait until like June and publish it then. But I can't really decide. But I'm going with KDP.
What would be your logic behind that?
I can really publish it. I can really publish it anytime I want to. Anytime I want to. But I think the logic behind it is June. Sorry, just read a comment. Squirrel. I think the logic behind it is my late mother took me in June. I was adopted. Quick backstory.
Wow.
I was adopted. That's all I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be in the memoir, but enough about that. She took me in on June 5th, 2001. So I'm thinking of releasing it then, like on that day, is kind of like a in honor of her, since she's now passed away and everything. Like in her memory.
This is a beautiful reason.
Or trying to get it out in January so I can get pump it out in the, first of the year and get to finally officially say that I'm an author. But that part is kind of beside the point. But I'm honestly thinking June 5th will be the actual date that I hit the button that says publish now.
That's exciting. I think I think we have so many goals for trying to get like our first books published. And I think
Yes.
getting into a publishing conversation is actually very, very exciting. But before we do, I want to welcome Crazy to the stage. Welcome, Crazy.
Crazy.
Crazy, you can give your little intro. What are you inspired about this week, my
I
friend?
love his evil laugh, by the way.
Boy, for this week, honestly, just inspired by just my own mind. Nothing because a lot of the books I have been writing are based on either video games or TV shows I used to watch and still kind of do. But for this one, it hasn't been very much except for my own dark mind.
Inspired by the working of the mind.
Yes.
Well, I absolutely love that, Crazy. I'm glad you were able to find us, and I'm glad to have you here. We have a full house this week, so I'm very, very happy to have all of you guys with me. And let me welcome everyone. I know you guys have been talking for hours. I was like, there's no way I was going to catch up on the chat.
Like 2 hours.
I know. I was like, hey, but I mean, that's cool. You guys are having fun. Sounds like you guys were having a great conversation. I was like, that's awesome. I love that. Love
I put in the comments, Kaufman's going to look at this and go, what the heck?
Megan, glad to that you've been hanging out here for just a little bit. You and Bobby were warming up the chat for us, making sure that
Yes.
we were really on the good writing vibe. I appreciate that, Bobby.
Crazy's like, fire.
Men make fire.
Let's see who else. Like as I try to like catch up on comments, who else do we got here? And I saw others. Patrick, glad to have you here in the stream, my friend.
What's up?
Welcome, Susan. Welcome back. Glad to have you in here. And Jenny, welcome. And Tiara in the house. What's up? And Mary, glad to have you back. Welcome back, Koff. Thank you. I appreciate it. I didn't die. But it was a rough couple of days. It for sure was a rough couple of days for me. But I'm glad to be back. Very low energy. Like I still got a little more recovery time. But I'm the live streams motivate me and like give me energy because I just like being here. So like that's enough for me to at least be able to do these things. I was like, with you guys, I'm like gonna just draw from everyone else's energy, and should hopefully be enough. Neil, glad to have you in here, my friend. John, I saw you pop in as well. I know we saw a bunch of people in here. I know we were talking about artists and blankets and pop culture, apparently. But you guys all hit a really good question. And John, I know you touch upon this as well. All you have to do is publish a book, and you are an author, even self-published author. And hitting the publishing button gives me shivers. I know. I know for me, I did a what was that? I did a poll a couple months back where I asked authors what they thought, or I asked the community what they thought constituted being an author. And I think that 75% of people said that being an author is having a published work somewhere. And 25% of being an author, 25% believe that being an author is working on a book or working on a piece of writing. And that it was the mindset. It was kind of the toss up between those two. Now, I know we're all working towards being a published author. I know officially myself, technically became a published author through the anthology, technically. But I'm like, okay, at least until I get towards my first solo published book with Last Scarecrow. But I think everybody here is published, right? Bobby, you said you haven't published yours. No, Bobby, you did publish yours, right? I forgot.
I did publish it, but I found an error like the next day checking on something. I was trying to check something and I found an error, so I had to take it down. Okay. So I'm now trying to decide when to republish it, whether I want to publish it in January or in June. And there's a backstory behind why I want to publish it in June, which everybody here knows, except for the ones that are watching. But you guys will find out that part later. Okay. But I'm trying to decide if I want to go with January or June. Because all I want to do is go, I'm finally a published author after
Mm-hmm.
30 years of dreaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's very awesome, right? And I think I think that's the goal of a lot of writers, especially writers in this community, right? We all want to get towards having that first published book or getting the second one or like the first series, right? But I think I can proudly say that everyone in here is published. And I think that's actually really, really cool. Some more than others. I know ML, I believe you're far ahead of us. Crazy, have you published your stuff yet?
Only on the Inkit mostly.
Okay, I mean, and this was the question that I had originally posed, right? What does it mean to be published? Do you have to be on Amazon for it to be published? Or what if you publish it to a social media platform like Medium? Does that count as being published? Technically, it's like if you have a piece of writing and it's put online or in some type of form that others can read, it's technically published because self-published authors, like that's just the thing. So then really, I think the what it means to be a published author has become more loosely defined in this day and age.
And I agree that no matter where you publish, either in real, like in the world, or online, like Inkit, or wherever you do your books, once you publish it, there you go. You published it. Doesn't matter where it is.
There are, there are lots of people who publish only ebooks on Amazon. They never, they don't have a paperback or a hardback, so, just I consider anybody, even if it's like, what is it, WhatsApp or WhatsApp or
Wattpad.
what?
I call it Wattpad.
Okay. To me, they're if you put your stuff out there,
It's out there.
What I'm curious. What do you guys? So once you've like gone, since we've all kind of gotten through the process for the most part, what do you guys think is the most difficult part about the publishing aspect of getting the book, short story published? Because I know John mentioned there was that he had like a shivering, right? And there could be that anxiety, right? Hit the publish button, getting it there. But what's the hardest part of it for you guys? I'd love to hear.
I think the hardest part go ahead, Penelope.
I was gonna just say that like the hardest part for me was something stupid.
The hardest part for you.
There's so many difficult parts part of the process, but the one that made me really want to like toss my laptop into pudding was the book cover, because I was publishing through BookBaby and I had to figure out how to take the PDF graphic that they showed me and get it to fit the cover that I had created. And I had to wing the whole process. I just had to make it up as I went along, or risk having a really badly aligned cover. And it took probably, I'd say 11 tries, because I ended up it was like a process of I would move things over a fraction and then I'd go through the whole process of uploading it to check and see if it worked. And then it wouldn't. So I literally had to go in and inch it into the proper place. That was dumb. But it worked. It came out beautiful, but
yeah, I gotta agree with Penelope. Fixing the cover is the most difficult thing. Technically, my book is published, except its physical form is not really accessible at the moment because I had to fix the formatting, and I realized too late that I needed to fix the cover, and I still have yet to do that. It is very difficult to edit a PDF for that.
Is it so like on the final product? Does it just look off? Is that why?
Apparently, it's too big now.
That's annoying.
I guess it would be stretched or something.
I know when we were dealing with the anthology, it was the biggest. Amazon's thing was the biggest pain in the freaking ass. Like Amazon, oh my god, Amazon. I mean, upside Amazon, like whenever I needed help, they reach out to them. Their customer service was actually like very quick, very phenomenal. I was like, all right, that was an upside for Amazon, which with big companies it can be hit or miss, but their logistics and their requirements for the Amazon Uncover creator was very, very finicky, like extremely finicky. And I remember Penelope and I, when we were dealing with it, there was trying to get it formatted correctly between Atticus and then with Amazon, two different programs, was definitely a pain. And that was just for the cover specifically.
Well, and the inside, because I used because when you format a book as a PDF to be printed, you have to include what's called the gutter, which is the extra room you get where the book closes so that they can bind the book properly. I used their measurements and we sent it off, and it would be like I'd copy or I'd save, send it to Kaufman would upload it to Amazon would get back and be like, nope, and then you would come back to me. I mean, it was just like for days, and eventually like I used the measurements they gave them and they're like, that's not correct, and I was just like oh, Amazon.
It is quite a process. Quite a process. That I know for sure. Megan actually brought up a really interesting point. Megan was saying getting the book published by a publishing company that makes you feel anxious and scared you might get rejected. And I know that's not something that I've personally attempted yet, but I do plan on going the querying route, the agent route at a much later book, right? My goal is to try each different type of publishing aspect on future books so I can take the community with me. But from the interviews and research that I've done with querying, going for either indie publishers or traditional publishers, it's a much different process. I know none of us have gone through the indie publishing route yet, or traditional publishing route, but I'm curious, are any of you guys considering that for future books? Going either an indie publisher, querying agents, anything to that effect eventually?
Yes,
Bobby,
I
you are?
am.
Okay.
I'm also with working on my memoir, or now reworking on my memoir, having to fix some errors I found. I am actually gonna start writing a romantasy novel.
Well, romantasy is a very, very popular genre. That's a good genre to be in right now.
I kind of have an idea in mind for a story. So, my brain is popping with ideas for that, but it's popping like popcorn. I don't know why I just said that, but after I get my memoir republished, I'm gonna say I'm gonna start doing a romantasy series. But back to your other question, Kaufman, from a minute ago, I didn't get a chance to answer it. You asked about what was, the most nerve-wracking thing for us about
for the
publishing.
publishing. Yep.
For me, I've been trying to write my memoir for like 2 years now. I've been telling people for 2 years now, hey, I'm writing my memoir. I'm going to have it published soon, yada, yada, yada. And, now that it's out, I'm like, I can breathe. But I think the initial problem with me, and Kaufman, you've probably noticed this, but the initial problem with me was finding the right words to put it in, because there's so much that goes into it. And you guys will hear or read the story when I re-upload it to Amazon. But there's so much detail that goes into it. And I'm like, okay, what's too much? What's not enough? Is this, is this the right amount of stuff? Is this giving away too much? Is this not giving away enough? So I think the most nerve-wracking thing for me is, honestly, like I just said, finding the right amount of, not courage, but Well, that too,
Mm-hmm.
but finding the right way to word things, and I don't have certain people's permission to use their name, so I've had to change names
Mm-hmm.
on a couple people. But the ones that I do have their permission, their names are going to be in it. But I think I'm just nervous about publishing in general.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby,
Because
that's actually very, very common, right? And you're definitely not alone. What I've learned from speaking with so many writers is publishing, almost hitting that publish button, putting it out
Yes.
there. It legitimizes this entire process you've gone on of telling a story, which whether it's a memoir about a real truth about your life, or whether it's a story about dragons and knights, right? Regardless of what type it is, you're still sharing a piece of what's inside yourself with the world.
Yes.
You're basically being
Yes.
vulnerable with the world, regardless of what type of content it is. Publishing is then the act of this is a real thing, and people are either going to love it or they're going to hate it, right? Because readers get to decide what they want to read. We can do all the things we want, but readers get to decide. So I
See,
could
I feel
totally
like
see
that's
that.
the
There's a
thing.
lot of fear.
I feel like that's the thing about publishing independently on Amazon too, is that's also one of my nerve things is how are people I can't talk. How are people gonna receive the story that I've just told?
Mm-hmm.
Are they gonna receive it well, or are they gonna, totally trash talk it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well,
unfortunately, you can't control that, right?
Yeah, and
those reviews, those
go ahead, Emma.
those reviews on Amazon are for the readers. They're not for the author.
I
Yeah.
was just gonna
Yeah.
say that.
That's
Don't go
awesome.
on Amazon and read reviews of a book or your book if you don't want to know what people really think, unless you really want to know what they really think.
Which is why beta readers are so important,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Beta readers are such an important step of the writing process, because the beta reader is the reader who reads it after your story has gone through the writing, the different revisions, the editing, and it's between the draft is almost ready to the final draft is ready to be published. And it's basically
Yes.
a beta reader is what is your intended audience or your intended readership. And they're able to give you that feedback. Does this make sense? B, do I like it? C, if I don't like parts of it, why don't I like parts of it? So I think those things can help minimize bad reviews. But you also have to accept some people are going to hate your stuff and some people will love your stuff. I think it's just
Right.
trying to figure that out on a larger scale once you publish it.
If somebody purchases your book on Amazon and that's not the genre they enjoy, they may give you a bad review just simply because they don't enjoy that genre. But
Yeah.
the only reviews that I think I personally would follow would be ones that tell me if they find something wrong, if they found an error in the book and stuff. Those I would, those would be the ones that I would,
Yeah,
be
but I mean, like, I
concerned
think
with.
when people find like grammar errors, I think if I get a review and somebody tells me a grammar error, I'm like, great. The great thing with Amazon is you can fix it and re-upload it in like a day. So I think fixing like grammatical errors are great. I know from being a book editor that statistically, and this is actually for traditional publishing companies, so just like at the big traditional publishing houses, what the standard is, there will always be minor errors. There's always going to be a human error factor. Traditional publishing houses equate human error, I think it's one mistake per every 1,000 words. For like the big budget books, you can expect that there will probably be one grammatical error per every 1,000 words. And that's the way that the traditional publishing houses looks at it. So I think that's common. But I think if you're reading through a book and there's like an error on every other page, and I would challenge, did they take it through an editor or did they take it at least through a proofreader? And I think those are the questions I would ask myself.
And one thing I found is, just I'm going to jump in for just a second. One thing I found is when you're going through your edits and your revisions and wait, those are the same thing. Duh. Anyway, when you have someone else read your work, make sure that it's someone that doesn't know. Like me, if you're doing a memoir like I'm doing or have done, make sure that it's someone that doesn't know you or particularly your story. Because if you get feedback from, let's say I've known Kaufman for 20 plus years and he knows, exactly what, my story is. He's going to base his opinion off of, okay, I've known you for 20 plus years. So, this is my opinion. So I found that you should, at least in my opinion with memoirs, you should find someone who doesn't really know you or your story so that they can, they can tell you, wow, this is a story that, needs to be told or whatever, which any story is a story that needs to be told.
Yeah, so Bobby, I do completely agree with that. And I think that comes down into getting unbiased feedback. I don't think it hurts because I do have a family member who reads the specific genre of my storytelling. But I think if I was going to send it out to beta readers, I might include my family as one of the readers if I knew they were also the target readership. But I would take their feedback on more of just on a different grain or just like a different viewpoint, because I know, right, they might not be able to be as direct or as forthcoming as I might need them to be. But if I had a family member who maybe they want to read it, but they don't even read that genre, then to me, that'd be a little bit more challenging because it really comes down to who is your target readership, because your target readership is going to be able to give you the best feedback because that's what they love to read. Completely agreed. And I wanted to real quick, I saw a couple of you guys hop in. Marcella, hey guys, hope you're feeling better, Kaufman. Thanks, my friend. I've actually been writing all day during my commute. It's my second book in my series, which is a bilingual Christmas one. That's exciting. That is so exciting. I was like, I can't even write a book in one language, so more than one. That sounds like a huge accomplishment. And Courtney says, we're quoting her. Y'all quoting
I wondered if you'd saw that.
Oh man, well, I definitely appreciate y'all. Megan's like, I could use beta readers for my poem. Yeah, so I mean, and beta reading is always an interesting thing. So it's like when you're looking for beta readers, I know we have a place in the Discord for anybody who's looking for feedback and looking for readers. Sometimes you will get responses and sometimes you won't. I think it just depends. You have to have the right timing of, hey, I'm offering this, I need a beta read, and then somebody else needs a beta read. Something that I think can always work is going through that looking for help section and then responding to the other people who are also looking for help and being like, hey, I see that you're looking for help for these 3 chapters. I would read those 3 chapters and give you feedback. Can you read my stuff and give me feedback? Because I think it's something to be said by being a little more proactive. That'd be my recommendation. Because I've seen that looking for work section on Discord. And I think there actually are some really good matches on there if people were able to make those matches work out. So
beta
readers.
I said beta readers that was the hardest part for my first book, was trying to find beta readers, being out in the middle of nowhere, not having an online community, and I bugged every body I knew, and I made all the wrong, mistakes. The first go around, I sent out the first draft to beta readers. Well, you know how well that went. So
Oh
I learned that.
man.
I learned that lesson the hard way.
I ask myself
Then,
what I would do if I was going to go beta readers with Scarecrow. I'm intentionally skipping the readers for Scarecrow because I have a closed set of readers who I'm going to be asking, who I had determined way long ago. I might do art copies. I haven't decided that yet. But I think if I was going to ask for beta readers in like a social media forum, I would actually, I'd probably look at what others were posting. I'd look for people who are looking for beta readers. I look at their genre of work, and then I would message them a proposal. That's what I would do. So I think what happens is we all end up we're looking for something, but we could be more proactive by looking for other people specifically and responding, because a lot of people respond. Like you go into those like writing groups on like Facebook, has great writing groups. Threads has a lot of very active writing community, or to writing based platforms. Instagram a little bit. Instagram does have some good, a lot of good book stuff. You might not get the same like writing community, but Instagram does. I'm not as familiar with TikTok, but TikTok's a little more up in the air with the countdown in the coming months in the U.S. market. So yeah, I think that would be my recommendation, and that's probably how I'd go about trying to look for beta readers. Tend to take that that guerrilla warfare type approach.
it is a challenge to
Mm-hmm.
to locate. Especially you got to find somebody that reads. Because if they don't enjoy the genre you're writing in, they're not going to, they may agree to start, but you're not going to get much, they'll either not follow through, or either you'll get liked it, hated it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's always the challenge we face if we're not like a notable author, and we're not paying money for it, right? The way to offset that is usually money, right? If somebody's making money, okay, now money is an incentivization. I think if somebody has like a series, like ML, I know you have I know your book is out. Have you been able to get reviews on like have you been able to have success with getting reviews at all on what's out for you?
Some of them I've gotten.
Because I'd reach out to those people who've given you reviews, being like, "Hey, I need a beta reader. Maybe I could give you like $20." Or I would just like offer something incentives. Obviously, not something that's like big, but I think an incentive. Because like if someone's left you a review, then clearly they liked your work enough to even check it out, or they're a friend or family, one of the two.
There for a minute, I thought you was going to say $20 for a review, and I'm like, no, that's against Amazon's.
Oh no, not for a review. No, for a beta read. For a beta read. I know. No, you cannot pay for reviews. That would be cheating the system, and that is also on Amazon's policy. Policy. Yeah, no, you cannot do that. Let's see. Courtney posted something really interesting. Courtney was like, I think your social media presence makes finding readers harder for you, Kaufman. I think your social media presence makes finding readers harder for you. Oh, it's kind of interesting. So, hey, Courtney, you think that because I have a social media presence, that it would be harder for me to find readers? I'd actually disagree with, well, I mean, harder for me. I mean, I don't know. It's because, like I said, I won't know until I go through the rounds with the end of Scarecrow. But I think what I've learned with social media is there's thousands of people out there who want to read good stuff, and it's just a matter of I need to go find them. right? And then what does that look like? For me, I would literally go into a Facebook group. I would look at the last 100 posts that people posted over the past couple weeks, and I would send them direct messages or respond to their posts. And I could probably I guarantee you guys, if I needed to find readers or I needed to find beta readers, I could probably find 10 readers within a few days, because I've learned how to navigate socials just throughout this past year by just being aggressive. So I think
Maybe
that way.
should pay you. Maybe
What was
I
that?
should pay you. I said maybe I should pay you for your beta readers.
All right, guys, that'll be my new service, finding beta readers for you.
Kaufman's the middleman.
Oh man, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that would be a good offering in the future. Maybe it's something to think about. I mean, with the WriteNow community, it's my goal to be able to make writing itself accessible to the writers of the world, because I know it's difficult, and I think the different steps, right? Finding an editor, finding readers, getting it, where do you get it published specifically, and all these different questions are real questions that all of us deal with. And I think if there was a way in the future to be able to make these things more accessible, I think that would actually be super cool. I think the question always comes to mind: how do we do it? How do we do it in a way that's easy, but then also how do I do it where I can still value my time? And I think that's always the challenge. I think I feel like there's a way. I feel like there is a way to be able to connect readers with each other. I'm gonna have to give it some thought, because I know I've been thinking about what are things to do to offering publishing, not being a publishing company. My personal goal is not to be a publisher, but to give ways to help authors get more attention with after they publish their books. And that's something I'm interested in helping out writers with.
I put a lot of thought into that, because I'm a writer interested in having people read my book. So one of the things that I kind of decided to do, since I have regarding the beta readers, I know that what I do is niche, and I will likely find my audience will likely be the kind to pick up whatever I put out. So I started releasing serialized beta drafts. I think I released 3 chapters a week, and I have 7 books planned. So for the next 3.5 years, I'll be releasing 2 to 3 chapters a week, because I plan on publishing a book every 6 months. And I want to use the subscription platform to entice readers who want to read the book before it becomes published officially in beta form. So that's what I'm going to do. I have 2 tiers. I'm on Ream, and I have 2 tiers right now. One of them is $5, and it's just reading whatever story is going right now. So it's the Love Spell Murders, and they'd have access to, I think the first act at this point has been posted on there. And then I have a second one, which has access to everything I have, which is $15. So you could read, in 3 years, you could read all of the other books, plus whatever, plus Dachura's, plus whatever I decided to publish between now and then. That wasn't but I thought that would, I'm already getting, I'm leveraging a cultural tendency for people to want to be involved somewhat in the behind the scenes process. Places like Patreon, you can subscribe to people that you admire, and you can get a lot of it's if they're musicians, they'll give you behind the scenes stuff, or songwriting tips or whatever. I don't really lean too much into craft advice, because that's not what I wanted to do with my readers. But I have a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and they want different point of views from the characters, and sometimes personal attention. I give tarot readings to people on their birthday as well. So Yeah, so I
That does
just
remind me. I do want to add a birthday feature to the Discord.
I think that would be great. Yeah, I want to do birthday. I want to do like just send them a little video and thank them for subscribing. But yeah, I mean that way they get to read the story as it unfolds. They get to make comments on it. They can pick up mistakes. They can help me get the book in shape form before I send it to my editor. And if they have a huge problem or there's a huge plot point or something like that, as long as they're not misunderstanding my creative vision, you know, I can make those changes. And they're paying me to do it. So that's kind of where I'm at with beta readers. I don't have any right now. Like nobody's subscribing, but you know, that'll
But I mean, I think that I think that could be I think that could be a good strategy, and I know that's a strategy that a lot of well-known authors use, which is essentially the membership strategy, right? That you're offering X amount of tiers, and each tier offers some type of incentive, and all you have to do is be in that to get access to a quality type of writing. Now, I think there's pros and cons to doing that, just like any other thing. And I think it's just trying to understand what is the value that those potential readers or those people who would subscribe, what they're looking for, and are they getting value out of whatever they're paying for. I think that's always the challenge.
Yeah. I think that I think that what you have to do to get that is what I've decided the way I want to connect readers to what I would do and you know get them turn them into a paying audience is to start a social media campaign. So I'm like just this week starting out Instagram, YouTube, started the podcast, and I'm you have to kind of give stuff away, right? You have to put yourself out there. You have to give them breadcrumbs back to whatever it is you want them to go purchase. So like my big offering is going to be the 7-book series. So I'm putting that on the big platform, Instagram. And I would probably do some paid advertising on there, but that all goes back to my Ream page. And Ream allows me to have a blog so that I can tell them when the books are released that they can go to my website and sell them there. The idea is to build up anybody who wants to publish traditionally. I think that you need to have some sort of social media following these days because they
do. I think that goes for
no
all
matter
types of
what.
publishing. I think it's suggested to have social media regardless of which route you go. But I think with traditional and indie, that your social media presence doesn't necessarily have to be as big, since you're going to be getting help with the advertising on their end.
They do like to check and see that you've got like an audience already, though. Which it's if you're gonna do the work already, like I'd rather establish because I'm niche. I do experimental lit. I do weird stuff in my books. I want to establish myself in my voice before anybody comes in a suit and tries to tell me what to do. You know, so. And that way I've already given them proof of concept. I've given them proof that I can pull an audience together and rally them behind my work. If they want to offer me enough money, I would publish traditionally if the deal was good enough. But I mean, I also am kind of like at this point planning to publish myself for the entire run and to do that as successfully as possible without using Amazon.
Okay.
We'll see.
I have a friend, or I say a friend, but an acquaintance that is traditionally published. And she said that every time she tries to negotiate a book, they talk about, now how many followers do you have on this, and this, you know.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I imagine that follower and audience sizes with traditional and indie publishing houses is probably factored into the contract, right? Because for them, they're basically investing in this book that you have done or the future books and how much money they can make off of it. The amount of money they can make off of it can be increased by how big your following is. It's really interesting. Let's say, I know I saw a couple things on here. And I know you're saying to give valuable feedback rather than just to be a part of your fame. So this was part of the earlier conversation of like, if, let's say I was going to put out something for Last Scarecrow, would people come to be a reader because they actually wanted to read Scarecrow, or would they be a reader because they wanted to be like, get attention, right? Of like, oh, look, there's somebody who's online all the time. Just by having my name out there, I'm going to get attention for myself. That'd be like, what if Stephen King's manager reached out to you and they're like, hey, Stephen King has a new book. He wants you to beta read it. What if you don't like horror? Well, you'd probably say yes if it was Stephen King, right? Like, because that's very notable. That's a very notable. For me, if I got an email, George R. Martin wants you to beta read the sixth Game of Thrones book, I'd be like, yes. But that's also
Stephen King on the way.
I think that is a really, really good point, right? And I think that's definitely an aspect, a factor to take into account with Courtney when like looking for people. And then I think for me that I need to take into account what I am looking for in a beta reader if I was going to put that out into the public.
I just had an interesting thought, sorry, about what I was talking about earlier. If I put all of my beta reading behind a paywall, I'm only going to attract people who want to pay to read what I'm writing anyway. So that could cut down significantly on the criticism. Like, who's going to pay to tell me I suck?
Yeah.
Nobody. Keep your money. Buy the book when it comes out, you know. And then I'll have their money. They can tell me
I mean, I think the way to frame that would be
staplers.
The stapler. Oh, the stapler. I did a Miss Mirabelle had some psychic catty wisdom for me today. I will be putting that video out, but she did make me feel better about this stapler content.
I think doing the paid thing, Penelope, I feel like it would be more of an incentive for people to be getting an advanced copy. So to be doing ARC copies
ARC copies, yeah.
Right, because I think that's a different value proposition. Beta read, you're paying this money, but now you have to give up time to now give me feedback. Which, if this is a big author and there's already a love for your work, that's a value proposition. Like that value is clear. But if you're not a big author yet, there's no value proposition.
No, nobody cares. Nobody wants to read my stuff.
But I think giving someone an ARC, then it's like, all right, you pay this, you get early access. The early access incentive. You get early access. It doesn't get published for at least a month or two, but now you get to read this early. And your feedback may help influence future books in the series. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be the way.
I think that, well, I wrote everything ahead of time, so I've got some leeway with everything. Mm-hmm. But like, yeah, I mean, it's like right now there's nobody who cares what I've written about. I think that it would be a process of they buy a couple of books. Like this is my long game, right? They buy a couple of books and figure out, yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of her stuff. She's always posting and it's one of those like that's what people want. Like I noticed that really popular like artists that do Patreon will post like a new image on Facebook or something like that every day, and then people will end up subscribing to their Patreon because they want the full image or they want like whatever they've teased, they want more of it. So I'm trying to figure out how to write as a writer, use that because I use a lot of visual imagery anyway. So teasing and then, you know, having some freebies on the on the Ream website, and then having people decide at that point if they want to do like, and it might be even like lowering my price to like $3 or something like that, because if you $3 to read a book that's just needs a little bit of spit and sealing wax. No, wait, that's not right. that's a different thing. Well, why not spit and sealing wax? Create it. Yeah, I mean, like it's I don't know if it's going to work, but it seems like a really good idea. It eliminates criticism from people who don't care. It allows me to make some money as an independent author. It's difficult to do that. If I can work with fans, then yeah, I think it'd be totally worth it. I just like doing a Patreon style thing as a writer is a bit different, and I'm still working out the kinks in that.
And I think that's all part of the process. Something that I want to call out. I know Megan was saying I got no beta readers, let alone any clients on Fiverr. May, what I want to recommend is just keep trying, right? Don't get discouraged. Recognize that trying to find a beta reader and Fiverr itself, the platform Fiverr, there's huge competition that you're up against. I myself haven't had too much success on Fiverr. I've had the most success here on YouTube. But I think for Fiverr, it's still just figuring out. I think you have to keep just reposting your ads. I think you have to keep learning. You have to understand the marketplace. Why does somebody click on certain posts? It could be the certain type of image. It could be the title has to have a certain number of words that attracts people. It could be that the value proposition, it has to be a certain way. It could be that whatever you're offering, people just aren't interested in, right? So if people aren't interested in it, the algorithm doesn't serve more of it because people don't click on it. And I know Fiverr does give you analytics to tell you if people are even clicking on it, because it shows you the impressions and then it shows you the click-through rate. So then that lets you determine, okay, maybe people are clicking on it, but they're not buying. That would be a different problem, right? They're clicking on it. That means it's working. That means you are pulling people in, but the proposition isn't enough for compared to the rest of the market. So I think it's things like that then you would have to think through. So don't despair, my friend. It's all a trial and error. I know Glitchum also mentioned I would probably hope to find another writer to read my work because they know what feedback I'm looking for, if that makes sense. Right now I have another writer as a test reader and he's interesting, which is good, right? So maybe when you're looking for feedback, you're looking for somebody who has expertise. This is actually what tends to be called an alpha reader. An alpha reader tends to be a writing expert because they just have a better understanding of writing techniques, standards, skills, and so on and so forth. Well, a beta reader is a readership, somebody who would read your type of thing who may not have writing expertise. So I think that's something very good to keep in mind, the difference between an alpha reader and a beta reader. Awesome. Glitchum, I saw that you had a great question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save that question for our break because we are at the 1 hour mark and it's time for the writing sprint. Because I know we all need to get some writing in. I'm pretty sure. I think we all have writing. I know I haven't been able to write this week. Like I feel a little behind on my stuff.
I totally understand you there.
I was like, man, Scarecrow's calling to me. And I made some changes to some of these like minor plot arcs. Let's see. Let me get that. Getting the setup on my end. All right, and I think I'm all good. So, all right, guys, what we're gonna do is we're try to aim for 2 writing sprints. So let's do. I'll set this first one for 25 minutes, and we'll see if we can get through both of them. Glitchum, when we get back from our writing sprint, I encourage you to come join us. So when we get back, I'll jump into your question. Let me see. It's like I tried so. There we go. And I was like, I have no clue who this goes to. But as we hop into our writing sprint, by the way, thank you for joining us. And if you're enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe. We're here every day with the Right Now community. If you need a daily writing community, writing motivation, or you just want to learn how to be a better writer, the Right Now community's got you covered. With 344 consecutive streams and counting, we aren't stopping anytime soon. So tap those buttons and you'll be alerted when we go live. All right, so back to the group view. All right, my friends. So we got 25 minutes on the clock. When we get back, we'll we'll dig into your question, Glitchum, of how would you fit show, don't tell into your work? So we'll hop into that after the break. And let's do it. I got 25 minutes on the clock. And it's time to write now. All right, and we are back. Welcome back, my friends. Were you guys able to get any writing done that time?
Yes.
Like a little bit.
Was able to finish a chapter.
Yeah.
Nice. Good for
Ah.
you, man.
Yeah.
I drafted a letter. Most of a letter. And then I sent back ML.
Well, hey, you got I mean, you got some writing in.
I got texting in.
Text-based writing in.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
I'd still say that's a win.
There's chatting count.
What was that?
Oh, ML in the comments said, does chatting count?
Does chatting count? You're like, yes, chatting. How many words per minute? Looks like Megan got 600 words. Nice. So are you at the top of our word count?
631. But that is partially because I got distracted because my kid came in here.
Dang, Megan, you almost beat Chat Soul that time. Maybe next time. Maybe in the next sprint.
Nah, because the next sprint, my kid's not awake to come in here for a hug.
Let's see. I know that. Yeah, I didn't get too much writing done in my time. I pulled back Scarecrow and got back into it. I was trying to review, I was trying to plan because I'm at the end of another chapter. So whenever I go into another chapter, I review the characters, the summary, and then what are my goals of the second draft edit of it. I think this might be the first chapter in this draft where there's just a minimal amount of changes, which is actually surprising by this point in the story, because I've been making so many changes at this early point. Yeah, but doing good overall. And it sounds like we've had some success here in the chat. Megan's like, last Wednesday word count queen.
I left because I was sick. Does that count?
Yes, it should.
Yes.
Yes.
In sickness or in health.
Yes.
So you just got to be on your A game all the time.
No one can do that.
Well, look at Kaufman.
Oh man, you know. So it sounds like we all got tried to get some work in. Marcelo was like, I'm now officially 6 pages into my scene. As usual, it might be running a little too long for what little is happening in it, but I'll worry about that later. I agree. I think that's a great strategy. Try to get through as many things as possible with what we have. And speaking of fixing things, the Saturday stream is actually going to be an editing tip stream. So not like the daily ones. I'm actually going to go over 8 of the most common editing things that I see most writers make. So 8 of the most common mistakes. And I think everybody in here in the community could highly benefit from it. If you think about it, when you're working on your rough draft, eventually you're probably going to pay for an editor. Editors charge a per word count. If you could cut down on your own writing and you can get better, improve at little things to improve your revising, imagine how much money you could save if you're able to shave off a couple thousands, 5,000-10,000 words in a draft, still accomplish the same things, and then you will be able to have shorter drafts that are accomplishing the same things and be paying less for editing services. So things like that, or let's say you're not going for an editor, then you could just improve the quality of your work in general. So that's something that I'm trying with the editing stream. I know in the Discord I posted a poll a couple weeks back, and of all the help that everyone wanted, it was on editing was the number one. I'm surprised. I guess I'm not surprised. Most people seem to hate editing the most, but I figured why not? We'll run with it and we'll see what happens. All right. So I know before we went on to the sprint, I know we had a really great question from Glitchum. I know Glitchum was saying, show don't tell. How would you put that into your work? So Glitchum, when we think about show don't tell, I think any writer can use a proportion of showing and a proportion of telling. You want to use the right balance of both in your storytelling. What that term specifically refers to is if a writer is telling you, what's a good example?
If they're telling you that the character's nervous, because that's actually something I actually get pointed out a lot in my other writers group, is telling emotion rather than showing it.
The character walked into a room. They were nervous because of the giant spiders crawling around there. They felt really sad because they did not want to die. That is an example of telling, as compared to if you were going to show. The character walked into their room, sweat dripped down their face at the when they saw giant arachnids crawling around the room. Right? If you're explaining like a fear, you don't have to say, I'm telling you the character is afraid. Show me different ways that fear could be could come across, right? That's what is generally meant when they say show, don't tell. Now, as a storyteller, there are going to be times where you do want to tell the reader the character is afraid. There are times where you can tell, but there are also times where you're going to want to show the character was fidgeting with their pen because they knew every single time they fidgeted, that was one of their nervous tics. Oh, something must be wrong because their pen broke. Then maybe breaking the pen was a type showing anxiety. So there's different ways to show and tell, and your goal as a storyteller is to find balance, right? And how do you find balance? How do you know when to show versus tell? It depends on what the goal is of the scene and the chapter and that you're trying to convey. So I think the show versus show don't tell conversation is always a great one. I think it's subjective because some writers, some professionals will say always show, don't tell, but I think that's BS. I think there's times where you show and there's times where you tell. And I think
show versus tell is one of the hardest things, even for professional authors, to deal with. You could write 1,000 books, and I seriously think everyone is going to struggle with that at some point. Because there might be 100 ways to tell something, but there might only be 5 ways to actually show it. And you have to make sure you're not repeating yourself. You have to make sure it makes sense for the context. So it's a difficult thing that everyone struggles with.
Mm-hmm. So really, really great question, Glitchum. We could probably go. I'm sure we could create so many examples out of it. If you're looking for ways to just improve on, check out excerpts from your favorite books and ask yourself which scenes are showing and which scenes are telling. That's usually the best way to research or practice, because you'll find from your favorite authors, they probably tend to do a mix of both realistically. Awesome. I hope that I was able to answer that question. And ML, we definitely appreciate you saying that editing is the devil. I disagree, but that's also why I'm an editor.
Yeah, you're kind of biased.
I am definitively biased. Oh man, I know, and I actually enjoy the editing process. Too, for different reasons than enjoy the writing process. I get it. I understand why editing is one of those big pet peeves, the big things that a lot of writers dislike. So I'm not surprised.
I enjoy certain parts of it.
Certain parts of editing.
Yeah, I do an edit where I look for opportunities to show, not tell. Mm-hmm. And I found those really rewarding. I was having a conversation with Tiara about this the other day, how it feels like sculpting. She said sculpting, and I've had that experience too. Carving details into the story and making it more exciting. And especially when the story starts firing on all cylinders and foreshadowing starts paying off, and you get to write more symbolism into the descriptions. That I think that's a really rewarding part of it. I don't like editing myself for grammar and buts and thems and stuff like that. Which is why I pay the devil to do it.
But I mean, this is the thing with editing, though, right? It's like, so like all things, editing has a set of rules. And it's just understand. Well, first off, it's understanding the basic rules of grammar, rules of language, syntax, and then trying to balance understanding grammar rules with style and the author's intent. And I think that's always the challenge in, okay, I could put a comma here and here, but only in one place is it technically going to be considered a comma splice. Is the reader going to know that? Probably not, right? Most readers probably don't know what a comma splice is, but grammatically, like you are supposed to adhere to the English language. So it's trying to balance that with style, which is also making a great reading experience. And I think that's trying to find the right balance as an editor.
Well, I think that even if the reader isn't going to be able to sit down and tell you like what the syntactical errors in this particular passage are, those rules are there because they have merits for existing. So like things that if your modifiers are out of order, it's going to make the sentence confusing because you're not going to know if they're describing the old woolen coat or the woolen old dog standing next to the coat, or all of those things have a purpose. I mean, I couldn't tell you like the depths of like music theory or anything like that, but I can tell you what sounds good, and the reasons for it is because they've followed a particular set of rules. Same thing with writing. So like, I mean, I like to be a bit experimental and try new things, but I want it to, it's not because I'm being quirky, it's because it's serving some sort of purpose within the text. And if it's not serving any purpose to have that comma splice there, then yeah, please take it out. It's going to read better for that with a good edit, with a good scrub.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Penelope. I think there's also a lot of times where readers might I think if you're making a consistent grammar error throughout your writing and you don't get it and it's not edited correctly, I think readers will pick up on inconsistencies like that. They won't know why it's incorrect, but they will feel that something doesn't read right for a reason, because they've been used to reading hopefully their entire life. But most people don't know what grammar rules are unless you're probably a student still and you're in school learning grammar rules. It took me going through an education and then brushing up and rebrushing up on a lot of things to make sure that I was doing it correctly, but then that's also balancing it with style. So hence why I'm doing a whole live stream on it on Saturday, because I think clearly there's a need for it. I think my last specialty live stream I did was the 8 reasons 97% of writers fail, and I think that stream was pretty popular. It seemed like it was a pretty helpful stream to the community. So I think once we go into January, I'll probably try to mix it up with more specialty streams occasionally for our like weekend streams.
Cool.
And I was like, Kaufman, are you saying that you're one of the servants of the underworld?
I wouldn't know. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know.
Not your quadrant, huh? It's not in your quadrant.
My list.
Crazy took the words right out of my mouth.
Ask Jezebel next time you see her.
Oh, Jezebel. We will we'll see. Man, that's another scary one as well. Your antagonist, right? Crazy.
Yeah, that guy.
King of the underworld. He would know.
What's his name properly? Does he have a name, or is he just
cliche? But Crazy J.
Crazy J.
Crazy J. Love it.
Dude, I feel like that's pretty, like, yeah, there's a punk element to that I feel like would be accurate. Exactly. Crazy J, King of the Underworld. I'm like, watch out, that guy's gonna... oh my God, the naughty thing that came to my head, never mind.
Ooh, I'd be interested. Let's go.
I can't say that.
And that's exactly what Crazy J does to you.
Exactly.
Oh man, this crazy sounds like you got quite an antagonist on your hands.
Eater of souls, controller of minds.
Oh
Hey.
no.
And on that note, let's hop in another writing sprint. Let's get a little bit more writing in. With our time, let's do, I got 20 minutes on the second sprint. So let's do it. I want to try to get some work on Scarecrow, whether you're brainstorming, writing, or editing. That's all part of the process. Come join us because, if I can cue this up, because it's time to write now. All right. And that is our writing sprint number 2. How'd you guys do on that one? I know it was a little shorter, but something tells me that didn't deter any of our word counts from our word count kings or queens here in the community. Let's see, what did I get? I got into it. I got distracted at the end working on some other stuff, but I'm glad that I made some good decision making on Scarecrow, and I've made a good setup. I want to say I got about a page and a half. I did about 400 words, give or take. So I'm pretty happy with them. How did I treat the rest of you guys?
I'm about halfway through chapter 2 of my book, and I actually did a lot more words in this sprint than I did the other one.
Dang.
Last time was like 630. This time was 900.
Dang, good for you. Soul, how do you write words so fast?
Honestly, I actually do think it's a little bit because I used to play video games a lot, and so I had to do a lot of coordination with my fingers to move quickly and basically button mash.
It's interesting. It's almost like you're entering like this stream of conscious typing when you're working on your storytelling.
Well, weirdly enough, whenever I type, I actually, I love how you said that because that's actually kind of what I do. Is sometimes, especially when I'm not 100% sure where I'm going with this, I literally just let my fingers type, and I don't think about what I'm writing.
Okay. Until
I'm actually done with it, and then I go back, and it's like, oh, I actually wrote something kind of neat.
Okay. Well, that's kind of cool. There's once again, there's no right or wrong way to write a story. I find that really fascinating. I know for me, I don't enter the. For me, it's like the entire process is a stream of conscious, but I don't have that same speed. I think for me, I'm like picking word choice and storytelling and dialogue, and I'm kind of weighing it out against the 10 different things I'm trying to achieve with the character development, the plot, the foreshadowing, and all the different elements. So I'm trying to save myself time on the back end. So it's just different.
That makes sense.
But I always love seeing others. How about you, Crazy J? How'd the writing go down there?
For the last sprint, I obviously finished chapter 217 words, but for this one, it was mostly I got too distracted on my mind already thinking about the last few books of this series, so I couldn't even think straight.
You're just kind of getting distracted with the future work.
Exactly. That's how quick my mind works. I'm not very quick on typing, even though I too play games with button mashing. It doesn't matter. I don't type really fast, but my brain is like miles and miles ahead of me with like, dude, this is how it's going to end.
I would challenge that your mind is button mashing the keys of the characters' final beats.
Done.
That's right.
What about you, Penelope? Were you able to make any progress?
I finished up the project I started, and then I was gonna open up the Love Small Murders to start editing that, but then I was like trying to decide if I wanted a chocolate shake or not. So
well, that always sounds like a nice reward.
Say hi to ML. Can you say hi to ML?
She's not a tortoiseshell.
Aww,
she's
so
not.
adorable.
She's like the sweetest cat in the world too.
Aww.
She's just so fluffy.
I know. She's so pretty, right? She says hi.
Wait, what's her name?
Her name is Mirabelle.
Is that Miss Mirabelle?
This is Miss Mirabelle, yeah.
Big fan.
We tried the green screen today. As soon as I put her on it to record her video for the next Miss Mirabelle segment.
Were you able to get like a green screen background of some type?
It didn't do it. It's still like, it would still, even though I was removing the background, it would still catch the edge of it. And of course, the second I set her down on it, she prima donna'd on me and bolted. So,
We're docking your pay. 5 less tuna for you today.
She went.
She's like, I'll only do it for 40 tuna, human. Be gone.
We'll see about that.
Oh man. Well, it sounds like We got some great work done here in the community as well. Megan got 455 words, 1055 word count tonight. Congrats. Sounds like you made progress overall the entire stream, my friend. That's awesome. Susan, a couple words tonight. Not sure how many words exactly. And sometimes it's like that, right? Sometimes it's kind of like getting some words and then getting some brainstorming done and kind of trying to balance the different things you're working on. Let's see, Marcella, 7 pages, probably too long, but I'm happy with it so far. Not sure yet how to cap it off. It ended at a kind of a tense spot. I feel the creative well is reaching its end for tonight. Sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes you're like, hey, I got to step away and come back tomorrow. And you'll come up with something fresh. Emma was like, Penelope, did Maribel offer any words of wisdom to you while she was here?
Yes. You got anything to tell the people? She's like, I already did my bit for today. If you want to see my advice, catch me on Saturday when I go live.
Oh man,
She has spoken.
She has spoken. She
Maribel
shall say no
has
more.
Oh man, it sounds like if you're gonna want more Maribel, you're gonna have to catch her on Saturday during the next Aether and Ink live stream. Let's see. Elmel, I was able to rewrite the last sentence a couple of times. All right. So now it sounds like you've gotten the perfect last sentence.
Oh.
Now I'm expecting perfection out of this ML. Best last sentence ever written. Oh man. All right, my friends. Well, it sounds like we all got some good work in today. We had a couple of really great conversations between, what was that? Rejection, the writing process, trying to stay motivated, publishing, and all that jazz. But that brings us to the end of this WriteNow Writers Group, our 24th session. Make sure that if you want to come join us next Wednesday, we'll be here. Same time, same place, 4 p.m. Pacific, 4, 5, 6, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you want to hop on the stream with us, let me know. Drop a comment. Let me know in the Discord. Come join us on camera. I can tell you that all 3 of these guys, they all started being, I'm sure you guys were all super nervous when you first hopped onto camera, and you just get the hang of it.
Little bit.
Just a little bit.
This is true.
And it's just cool. It's really cool being able to talk with other writers. So whether you want to hop on and talk with other writers, or whether you just want to come join us, we are here. I'll be back tomorrow for another daily writing live sprint stream. I think it's an earlier one, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. I'll be here if you just want to get some writing done. And that's all that I got for you today, my friends. To wrap it off, once again, I'm Kaufman, and this is
Chat Soul and Nettle Song.
And that is
I'm Penelope Hartley. That's all.
And this is
Crazy Root Beer.
And we'll catch you in the next stream.